Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. So have you ever played with white watercolor? That's right, white watercolor from Windsor and Newton. This is the professional titanium white watercolor. You can create some really cool effects like these flowers here that I painted. I'm going to show you step by step and how to use this white watercolor and the way that I would use it. And we're using hot press paper today. So if you have some hot press, get that hot press paper out. If you have it sitting around, you don't know what to do with it, I'm going to teach you. And then we're going to be using a filbert brush and a couple other brushes. And if you're a Patreon member, you get the additional tutorial, an extra one. So stick around if you're a Patreon member because you get the additional one. And if you want to join Patreon, click the link in the description box below to join my Patreon. So without further ado, let's get using some white watercolor and having fun. All right, to start with, I'm using hot press paper, and this is a block from Fabriano. This is a bright white hot press paper. One of the brushes that I'll be using today, this is a really inexpensive brush from Princeton, but it's a great brush to make peonies and all kinds of flowers. And so this is the Princeton Select number 16 filbert brush. So a filbert brush, any kind of filbert brush. I have other filbert ones that are bigger. I have a Grumbacher 8. This is a bigger Princeton. This is 3/4 inch one. I have a really big one. My bigger paintings. This is a 30 Royal and Langford nickel one. This is more of an acrylic brush, but I can use it for watercolor. Then I have tiny ones. You know, play with the filbert brush. So the Windsor and Newton watercolor, white titanium watercolor. We're gonna have fun with this. It's officially all watercolor, but it feels like and acts kind of like gouache, so it's kind of fun. we're gonna just paint a background. So I did this painting last night. Isn't this fun? With this using these techniques. We're gonna do something similar. You can paint a background. It could be grays. It could be any kind of color you want. Just know that you need to paint a somewhat darker background than white. So here I'm gonna take my number 16 brush. Let's mix up some color. Use ultramarine blue, and you need a lot of color in the beginning, right? That's why this big brush is great. Now we have ultramarine blue, which is kind of nice. Gonna add a little burnt sienna. And then make a nice gray, go back with the blue. Got a lot of color here. I'm gonna make more blue tones than my original one. Get all that in there. Like I said, you can make any color you want. I'm just gravitating towards blue tones. Now I'm dipping back on the water, and I'm gonna start to put this on my paper. Grab some more water. So it's fairly wet. If you want it more gray brown, you can add some more browns. Play around with the colors here. Keep it blue if you want. You can fill the whole paper or not. Now it's very, very wet. And you're gonna use the white pretty quickly with this. I'm gonna make it a little bit darker in some areas and mixing the two. Even just like splatter a little bit for some fun. You know, and like I said, get it darker in some areas. And it can be bluish gray, brown. You could maybe put some stems in it like this. I'm just kind of pretending there's a stem there. Kind of mush it out a little bit. So with hot press, the paint just kind of sits kind of on top a little bit longer than it would be with the cold press. So we can kind of play with this. Now I'm going to remove some paint here. I'm going to put the white down. Show my videos in real time, people. Just like if you were sitting in a workshop with me. So I'm moving the paint, just squeezing this paint here. Now the paint is seeping through right now on paper. I'm going to just mush some of this paint over here. If you want a little bit lighter, maybe you can remove some paint. I don't know, mine's pretty dark. I want to move some lightness. I didn't like some areas. You can kind of take your paper towel and kind of make some lovely little effects twisting that. All right, so I'm going to grab this filbert brush. Gonna water down some of the paint. Consistency still kind of thick, right? You can water down a little bit more. So it's more of like a cream consistency. We'll start to play with it. And I do these swipes with this brush. So watch. I'll just do that one in the middle, like that. Now it's gonna start to bleed. See? Kind of the same swipes I would do for peony, whatever you want to say. I'm sure someone will correct me. So these swipes like this. Another swipe in here. Well, it's still damp. Gonna loosen up some more white. Swipe, swipe, swipe. It's still gonna be bleeding. Swipe. Right, and I'll put another one up here. Swipe. It really acts like gouache in a way. Look at that. Do another one here. Could do some white roses with it. White daisies. You know, like a little daisy like that. Could do a small daisy holding the brush on a chisel end. Like that. Can kind of do little swipes up here. We're having fun with the brush, aren't we? Isn't that cool? Really cool effect. So as it starts to dry, we swipe back in again with the paint kind of right out of the tube, going over those white areas. It's still kind of very damp. And look at that little spider kind of mark. Isn't that kind of cool? All these textured effects. You could, like I said, you can make daisies just by putting on the chisel in here. Just like that. And then just go on like that. Kind of coming out. Maybe a little flowers, little ditzy ones. They're all white though, right? So these kind of all blended. You can go back. See, I'm grabbing them white again. Going back over that. Making little marks. It's kind of like almost like a ghost flowers. I don't even know how to describe it. The look of it. It's kind of cool though, isn't it? Now I've done something similar to this in the past using gouache. But now we're going to use actual watercolor because this is watercolor. White watercolor. So if you have some white watercolor sitting around, play with it. Doing these techniques. So I like the hot press for this. You could try it on cold press. It just creates a different effect when you're using hot press. Going back, see the thick paint? Getting a little whiter. Right out of the tube. Do we call that butter? It's tea, coffee, milk, cream, butter. Just how those elements are in real life. That's the consistency of the paint. What do I mean by that? Is that that's how much water you should add to make it feel like those particular elements. So I'm going back in. Again, another round. Kind of cool, right? I might put another leaf in here. Petal, I'm sorry. Okay, so now that's starting to dry. We could do some highlights in a bit. I'm going to move some of the paint over here out of my palette. Because if it mixes in, then it turns into like more of a gouache, and we don't want that. Okay, now I'm going to grab, I can grab my 12 Neptune series round, and let's make some greens. So Cadmium yellow deep and Prussian blue. Oh, that's pretty dark. Add some more yellow, a little bit of burnt sienna. Get some more water. Mix this up. So now we've gotten back to like our tea consistency. You see that this paint's got in here. I'm going to have to remove it. It's turning it a little too much of a gouache kind of consistency. Here we go. I have to remove this. Keeps happening. Small palette, but I got to show you everything. So, okay, I'm going to start to just take a brush and maybe make some stems. push down for leaves, push down. You can go outside the paper too. I want this a little bit lighter. So I'm getting more yellow in here. It's a little bright, so I'll water it down. Okay. Now this nice chartreuse color. Do some nice stems coming up here and push down. Now I have many tutorials on how to use these brushes to make these lovely leaves. So now I'm just kind of building, adding some leaves. Right now they're just like a nice light chartreuse green. I can add some stems. I'm going to get a little bit darker. So add the Prussian blue back in here, a little brown. Just make it a deeper green. Just come around here and start playing with adding in some leaves. In between the flowers. Maybe add a little more brown. I'm having in mind coming off the page. Well, after like this little square that I made. Just having fun. It's nice to have some really deep dark ones, so I'm going to add even more Prussian blue and some brown. It's a really thick paint, almost like butter. Get them in here. Go around those white leaves, so they really, get the negative painting here. They kind of pop. You see how I did that? If you're going around the leaves, they really kind of shine. You could really fill it in even darker around it. So let's see. Stems, crisscross, applesauce. This is not taking much time at all, is it? There's this white spot here I'm going to have to fix. Twist and turn. But really fun, isn't it? How much time is this taking us? 0. It's all a matter of just playing with your brushes. I'm just taking the lovely tip that I have in my number 12, creating these nice little stems, and then throwing in those leaves. So I have a lot of dark happening in here. Let's kind of balance it by adding some more down here. Why not? So if that one particular petal happening there, I'll just clean up my brush, grab some water, and kind of lift it a little bit. It's a little too white sitting there. We can use it to our advantage. Grab that paint. See? Grab it. Change it. So now we're going to kind of paint in the centers. I'm just mopping up this excess paint and using it around here. I'm going to do some yellow. Move the color over here. Just take some yellow and burnt sienna. Mix the two. I'm using a liner brush. You don't have to. I'm just going to wiggling in some yellow in the center of these guys. There's like a nice little daisy. This one I'll fill in more. And then I take this burnt sienna and mix it into, kind of pull out some little stems, stamens kind of thing. Tap, 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 little dots in the end. So you fill it in, kind of wiggle it in, and then pull out little stamens and grab some yellow or even that same color and tap it with the little dots. You see how this doesn't have to be perfect. Do the same thing over here. Just pull out some stamens with this. I love the liner brush, makes great little lines. Hence, it's a liner brush. And grabbing some more burnt sienna. Can even have some green in there. Look at that. It's coming alive. It's a lot different than my first one, but similar. Love to play. I play with brushes a lot. You got to see what you can do with them once you have them. And add a little bit more yellow in here. Just kind of wiggling the center, going back and adding that brown. Pulling up little stamens. You can make them taller if you want, a little crazier. even thicker paint on top for little dots. If you make a bright yellow, there's a little half daisy over here, and there's a little one down below. Those I didn't do stamens for. If they're daisies, wouldn't make any sense. Might get it a little thicker with my burnt sienna. You could even make it a little bit darker. Oh, add some ultramarine blue, and it's like almost like black brown. And you can get a little darker in some areas. It's up to you. Have fun with that. Look at that already. Pretty cool. Now it's a lot different than my first one. And it's gonna be. So I'll add some stems with this liner brush. Kind of wiggling. Crossing over, having fun. You know, you can keep it this white flowers, or you could add another element, which is a smaller ditzy flower. And then the color, yellow or blue. But you know, it's really pretty. We're only like, I don't know, less than 10 minutes in or something like that, and we've created something really beautiful. Gonna remove some of this. Like I said, you can play around with adding in, maybe I'll use the same brush. Some blue flowers, just even ultramarine blue, watered down. Let's see what we can create. Just put some blue flowers in here. Doesn't look like much, does it? Maybe I'll just use it as a color. Sometimes I don't know until I play with things. Adding in color. Maybe purple would be pretty. You know, play around with it. This took like I said, short amount of time. Really kind of cool effect. I would have left, this one kind of blended in so much. I would have left a little bit more, so you could have had a little more definition of the petals on some of these. Like my first one, I left a little more space, and this one. But you get the idea, right? So you could go back in again with the white gouache. No, it's not, I keep thinking it's gouache. White watercolor. You see? And I'll grab a little bit of this. It's going to really change it, right? Like that. The daisy, it's really highlighting that flower. This could kind of blend it. I want to do little highlights. I'll change the flower again, because it really kind of muted gray. If you really want some white in there, go back and add that white watercolor after it dries. And it's changed once again. Maybe make it play out with this. Another thing you could do is like make the yellow greens more predominant, like highlighted. Now that it's dry, go back in and add some thick yellow paint to my green here. And let's see if this pops out more. Even try and add the white watercolor to it, and let's see what happens. Look at that. Now it just pops, right? Here's the white watercolor. You can really see that. See, I've added the green. It's going to be pale, but you're going to see it. You can play around with adding this white watercolor to your greens or your yellows, or even whatever color you have. It's kind of fun, and it really pops out now. And you go back over with the yellow, green. Just more things you can think of to play with. You can add the veins with this kind of concoction in here. It really pops. It's up to you. So I hope you enjoyed this. Super fun. So many ways to make different flowers using different techniques / paint / brushes. Here I can grab my lovely lilac color from Holbein. Put some of that in here. Play around with the colors, adding, tapping, creating, enjoying, all that good stuff. So thank you for stopping by. If you enjoy my channel, please consider joining my Patreon to support my channel. The link is in the description box below. We have exclusive, more extensive tutorials doing more intense techniques that are not on YouTube. Longer, have traceables and reference photos, etc. And we have extended videos and extra videos that we don't have on YouTube. And you get first dibs in watercolor workshops and retreats, get a Facebook group where we have weekly challenges, monthly giveaways, all the good stuff. So maybe consider joining it, and I really appreciate it. And please hit the bell notification button to know my tutorial is up, and hit all notifications. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.